All right, so our checklist on the order that we would perform our operations at the top is going to be the same as it was last week, because we're going a little bit further into solving equations. So the first thing that we do is look for what? Distributive property. So do you need to distribute anything? In other words, what symbols do you look for? Parentheses. Okay, what's the second thing that you look for to do? Combine like terms. So you would check on each side of the equal sign to see if you need to combine any like terms. Okay, and what is the next thing? Check to see if you need to move the variable to one side. If there's a variable on both sides, you're going to have to perform this step. Okay, what's our next thing? Add or subtract. Check to see if what you need to add or subtract for the constants. We're trying to get the variable alone, so we'd move the constant away from the variable. And what's our final step usually? Multiply or divide. So our final thing is to isolate that variable by performing multiplication or division by whatever coefficient is with the variable. All right, so let's look at this example. See that these examples are a little different from last week because now we have what? We're going to have to distribute. Okay, so for the distributive property, remember we take that factor on the outside and we multiply it by each term inside of the parentheses. Okay, so the first term is 2e. I'm going to highlight that. So 7 times 2e, 14e. And then you're going to treat this like it is a -1. 7 times -1, -7. What do I do with everything else in my equation? Bring it down. So bring down the -3 equals 6 plus 6e. Go ahead and draw your line because now we're going to start to do our other steps. Our next thing is to look to see if I need to combine like terms. And remember, that's only on each side of the equal sign. You're not going to cross over. So on this side, the left side, what are your like terms here? Okay. So -7 and -3 are alike. What is -7 minus 3? So now I have 14e minus 10 because it was -10. Are there any like terms on this right-hand side? No, you can't add a variable term with a constant. So just bring them down. Okay. Now our next part of our checklist is move the variable to one side. We have a 14e and we have a 6e. Which one am I going to move? 6e. Okay, let's move that 6e by doing the opposite. It was being added. It is positive, so now it's negative. Minus 6e. Cross out the opposites. Bring down what's left. 14e minus 6e. 8e. Bring down the minus 10. Okay, now at this point we're at a two-step equation. Okay? We are going to check to see what we need to add or subtract from the variable. So here's the variable side. What do I need to do here to make it alone? Add 10. Make sure that whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Opposites cancel. Bring down what's left. 6 and 10. 16. And our final step is to multiply or divide by the coefficient. Our coefficient is already being multiplied, so I'm going to divide. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 1 times e is e. 16 divided by 8 is...
Teachers, pardon the interruption. If you have any students that do not have a school-issued book bag, please send them to the library.
So let's look at our next example. Yeah. Okay. This next example, we have this negative on the outside. What does that indicate? It's going to have to be distributed, right?
I apologize, that is new students. New students that do not have those book bags, please send to the library.
Okay. This is a negative. It is actually understood -1. So I would rewrite it. I'm just going to rewrite it to show you that that is an understood -1. Treat it like it's a -1. But whenever you multiply anything by -1, it just changes its sign, right? So we're going to take -1 times 4 and -1 times h. Now h has an understood 1 also, right? What is -1 times 4? -4. What is -1 times h? -h. Treat it like it's subtraction. Bring everything else down. Okay, we did distributive property. Do we need to combine like terms? Are there any like terms over here? No, and 3h is alone on the other side, so we're okay. The next thing is to move the variable to one side. We have a -h and we have a 3h. Which one are we going to move? What's the opposite? Positive, so just add it. Now, there is an understood 1 there, right? So what's 3h plus h? So bring down a 4h. These cancel because they're inverses. And bring down your -4, right? So we move the variable to one side. Now we check. Is there anything that we need to add or subtract from the variable term? No, there's already by itself. So what's our final step going to be? Divide by 4. We're dividing by what's with the variable. 4 divided by 4 is 1, times h is h. -4 divided by 4 is -1. Be careful with those signs.